Hello everybody, SlimKirby here. Welcome to what's going to be my next Let's Play here, my next weekend project, I guess you could say. Really excited about this Let's Play because I'm going to be taking a huge nostalgia trip for myself. This is a game that I grew up with as a child. I played it a lot with my dad on our computer, and it's a game that's always kind of stuck out for me. It's a game that kind of introduced me to the concept of puzzle games and, you know, kind of figuring things out, and it's a game that I always remember because of that. So if you grew up with computer gaming in the early 90s, this title might seem very familiar to you. If not, well, you're going to be getting introduced to a huge helping of classic game and PC nostalgia. We are playing the game Lemmings. Lemmings is, like I said, a puzzle game. It was released originally on the Amiga PC system in 1991. It came out for other PC systems in the following year. It eventually made its way on consoles as well, and I'm actually going to be playing the Super Nintendo version. This is a computer game that was at some point ported to the Super Nintendo. Now, I will say, I do think the PC is the definitive way to play Lemmings, just because you kind of have, you know, more control over your characters and whatnot, since, you know, it's a game that kind of works perfectly with kind of a mouse controller and stuff of that nature. And the Super Nintendo does have a mouse controller, but I'm not really a huge fan of it. And honestly, I think the controller, like the actual gamepad, works fine for it, so it's not going to bother me too much. But yeah, we're going to be playing through Lemmings. Pretty cool puzzle game. Like I said, I've spent many hours of my childhood on this game. Played it a lot with my dad, who was also pretty big into computer games back in those days, and you know, together we made it pretty far in this game. I don't think we ever actually beat it, but later on in life I did play this game on my own time and actually did make it all the way through. It can be a pretty complicated game when you get to the later levels, like the end game levels. It can be quite intimidating, and you have to kind of use your head in a lot of interesting ways. So here on the main title screen, there is a one-player mode, there is a two-player mode, and there is a password system. So yeah, keep track of passwords as you go throughout this game, because, you know, unless you're playing on emulator with save states and stuff, this is the only way you can actually continue with where you left off, is by having the password. I remember me and my dad had a huge notebook of passwords from pretty much every level of the game that we had played at that point, so, yeah, definitely something you had to do back in those days before cartridge save battery was really a thing. But yeah, that's pretty much it. Let's go ahead and get things started. So going to press one-player game. Now the interesting thing is there's actually 4 levels of difficulty. You have the fun rating, you have... okay, I can't actually select the others at this point. Maybe you have to actually work your way to it. I don't remember entirely. But you have the fun rating, you have the tricky rating, you have the taxing rating, and you have the mayhem rating. Every difficulty has 30 levels, and you work your way through the fun rating, then you get to the tricky rating, then taxing, and then mayhem. And that basically leads to 120 levels in the game. I wouldn't say all the levels are unique. There will be some repeats as we get to the later stages of the game. It's just when we get to those repeats, there'll be some new conditions, or you'll have different tools to work with and stuff of that nature. But yeah, let's go ahead and get this thing started. Looking forward to this. Don't know how many levels we're going to get through in this first episode, nor how many levels we're going to be getting through in every episode, but it'll be fun figuring it out as we try to figure out this game. Let's get this started. So first up we have the level Let's Dig. So I'm going to go ahead and pause right here and just kind of explain what exactly we're working with. These little creatures like this, these are lemmings. They're basically going to just keep on walking straight forward until they collide with an obstacle, and then they're going to walk the other way, And your goal is to ultimately get all your lemmings, or at least as many lemmings as you can, to this little exit down here. So for every level, it's going to give you a basic requirement of what you need to rescue, how many lemmings you need to rescue. And yeah, you just kind of need to see if you can save that amount of lemmings. If you do, you will pass the level and you'll move on to the next one. If you don't, you pretty much just have to keep on trying until you get it right. That's kind of the way this works. Now, as I said, the only thing lemmings can do, they can just walk back and forth. That is all they can do. However, as you can see down here, we have a number of tools at our disposal here we can use, and we can give these lemmings additional actions. The only caveat is, obviously, you only have certain amounts of these actions. So, for this first level, we have this action right here. This is the dig action. So what we're going to do is we're going to go back to the screen, and we're going to choose this little guy to dig. He is going to dig straight down, and this will give us a way to get our lemmings to safety as they make it to this exit. And we'll have plenty of time to do this too, because I think there's only like 10 lemmings in this level. But yeah, basically, that's how this game works. It's just kind of figuring out how you get to the end of every level, see how many lemmings you can rescue, and just have fun doing it. We'll go over all of these actions as we get them. There's a couple of other actions here too, but I'll discuss them a bit later when it becomes more relevant. For now, let's just kind of take it easy, nice and breezy, as we pass the first stage and move on to the next one. We only need to save one lemming, but yeah, so we could have somehow killed the other 9 lemmings and just rescued one, and we would have been fine. But this is the fun rating, so you know you can never really expect the requirements to be too hard at this point. So let's go ahead and press the start button. Going to give us the password for the next level, and yeah, let's see what we got here. Level number 2, only floaters can survive this. You get 10 lemmings. Once again, we only have to save 10%. So we only have to save 1. But we're going to try to save all of them because we are not bad people. Although some people will argue lemmings dying is kind of a... I don't want to say like a fun thing to do, but it's kind of a guilty pleasure when it comes to this game. And we'll definitely see instances of that. But for now, let's actually do this level properly. So, it said only floaters can survive this. This is a very big drop. At some point, I don't know the exact distance, but if a drop is too large, a lemming will die from it. So naturally for this level, since we have floaters, we're going to give every single one of our lemmings the floater ability. This will allow them to basically float down. They will not die. They will survive the fall, and they'll be able to walk to this exit right over here with no issue. Now, one thing that can help is, as you can see on the little text there that's above like all my actions, you'll see that you can tell which one you haven't given the ability to if it said walker. Now, if it says floater, that means you've assigned them the parasol, or the umbrella, or whatever. And that goes for the climbers, too. So you can kind of keep track of which ones can do what and whatnot. But yeah, there we go. We completed another level. We completed level 2. We rescued every lemming on that level. Can you do it again? I think we can. Now, of course, there are some levels where actually you cannot save every lemming, and you just kind of have to make your peace with that. So let's go ahead and look at this next level. Tailor-made for lemmings. We have 50 lemmings in this one, not 10. 10% to be saved, so we need to save 10 lemmings in this level. No, 5 lemmings. I'm sorry, I cannot do math properly. So yeah, we only have to save 5 lemmings, but, you know, 50 lemmings, I think we can save more than that. However, we cannot save all of them. This is one of those instances where you are going to have to let go of some lemmings. And, well, basically, I'll show you why. We have a pretty complicated level right here. As you can see, lemmings, they're not going to survive this fall. We don't have any floaters, and there's also just a giant hole here, so even if they did survive, we had no way to cross this. But the game did give us some blockers. So what you can do with blockers is you can basically make a lemming do this, and they'll act as an obstacle, so lemmings can walk the other way. And that's pretty much what this is. That's pretty much what blockers do. They're pretty effective, not gonna lie. Now, funnily enough, I think lemmings can actually survive this distance. But, you know, we can experiment with it to make sure. Yep, we're good. So we're just going to put you here, and there we go. Now, before we continue, notice how the lemmings, they are coming out pretty slowly. We only have like 20 of the lemmings out, and there's 50. One thing you can do is you can also increase this number right here. This is the release rate. Basically, the higher the release rate, the faster the lemmings will be coming out of the hatch. So you can kind of speed things up a little bit if you so choose. And as you can see, yep, they're coming faster. The one thing you can't do is you can't lower the release rate beyond what it starts with. So you have to keep that in mind. And yeah, that's pretty much this level. So as you can see, a distance of this height, you can definitely make it, but you know, probably, assuming there was floor here, I think a distance of this height would not be enough to survive, so, you know, somewhere in between here and here is where the, I guess the death height is. So yeah, these lemmings are going to go to the end, but there is still one problem. We still have these 3 lemmings. Well, unfortunately, at least in terms of this level, there is no way we can actually save these guys. There are some tricks where you can save blockers in future levels, but we do not have those tools, so otherwise we cannot make that happen. So unfortunately we have to wait for either the clock to go down to 0, or we can take the quick route and just blow up the lemmings. That's so sad. But either way, we needed only 10%. We saved 94. I believe 94 is the max of what you can save on that level. So, you know, we saved as many as we theoretically could. But, unfortunately, you cannot save all of them on that level. Unless you find, like, a super exploit to do that, which I highly doubt. They just do not give you enough tools to save everyone. There we go. That's pretty much that level. Level 3. Let's go ahead and move on to level 4. Now use miners and climbers. Okay, sounds good. Oh shoot. Okay, so you can actually go back and do other levels again if you want to, just for fun. But we're gonna keep going. But yeah, 10 lemmings for this level. We actually have to save every single one in this level, so keep that in mind. Release rate of 1. That's a very slow release rate, but there's also only 10 lemmings, so it's not too bad. So let's see what we have this time at our disposal. We have miners and we have climbers. So let's go ahead and show you what miners do. Miners are basically these guys. What they can do is they can basically mine through solid blocks like that. In a sense, they're a lot like diggers, but they're miners. They don't dig straight down. They actually dig at a diagonal. Now, they are kind of slow. I think of these 3 types right here, these guys are the slowest just because, you know, they're obviously pickaxing. They have a heavy obstacle, or a heavy tool they're using. So yeah, they can be kind of slow. Keep that in mind. Next, we're going to use climbers, which climbers are kind of like floaters in a sense that it's a task you can assign to lemmings. And as you can see, it makes them able to climb. So they're going to climb all the way up into the exits. And that's pretty much this level in a nutshell. Not much to really say about it beyond that. Pretty simple. So we've almost got introduced to all the tasks. I think we have like 3 more to look at, but we'll see those in due time. We'll see those in due time. Okay, what level do we have next? We have... You need bashers this time. Okay, so we're going to get introduced to the other block digging type of action, I guess. 50 lemmings, 10% to be saved, so we only have to save 5. And I want to say this is a very long level, too, if I remember correctly. Yes, this is a very lengthy level. So, as you can see, gotta go all the way to this exit, all the way over here. And they give us plenty of bashers. We have 50 bashers, so let's see what we can do. I want to say you can also... No, maybe not. I thought there was a way you could actually, like, press a button to tab through all of these, but I might be thinking of, like, a more updated version of the game. But yeah, these are bashers. They obviously dig horizontally through stuff. So you have the bashers that dig horizontally, miners that kind of do diagonally, and then you have diggers which go straight down. So that's all those tools that you really need to know of as far as the the digging type of actions. So there we go. Gonna dig through this crystal stuff, I guess. And now we have something kind of complicated, and this is why they give us about like 50 of these bashing tools. You need to kind of dig through this web. And digging through the web can kind of be inaccurate to an extent, because as you can see, like, it took 3 bashes to get through that first layer. And sometimes you can get through the whole thing. It just really depends on when you actually activate the action. It's because, like, basically, you know how these are all, like, diamond shapes? Basically, the center, like, there's no, like, type of layer there, so if you get at the right angle, like, there won't be anything to bash, so the lemming will assume that it's done. So that's why that doesn't work sometimes. Let's go ahead and increase the release rate, because, yeah, we got a lot of ground to cover in a short period of time. Yeah, that's pretty much this level. This level in a nutshell. And as you can see, you have a nice little mini-map there in the bottom right. You can kind of... Actually, you can actually click on it to go, like, immediately to a section if you need to. It can make kind of scrolling through the map a lot faster. Or you can use the L and R buttons to kind of move through it as well. Kind of up to your own personal discretion. But there we go. Only needed to save 10%, we saved all of them. We're awesome. We can do it. Level number 6, a task for blockers and bombers. Ooh. Okay, so we have to save 20% of the lemmings. I believe that's 10. And, yeah, we're going to see what the bombers do. Now, I already showed you guys the nuke option. It basically nukes every lemming that's still on the field. Suppose you didn't want to nuke every single lemming, but you just wanted to nuke one lemming. Let's go ahead and block this guy right here. Then we're going to turn him into a bomber, and that specific lemming will get a countdown. When he gets to 0, he'll explode, and he'll actually destroy any, basically any type of solid substance that they're next to. Assuming it's not like steel or anything. There'll be some layers that you can't, like, you know, dig through, and in the case of bombing, some layers you can't bomb through. And then you basically just do this again, blow this up, and then you can get to the exit just fine. Let's go ahead and increase the release rate again. And yeah, that's pretty much this level in a nutshell, and that's pretty much all there is to it. Now, as I said before, there will be some levels that you will have to redo at some point. And this is actually one of those levels, and they actually give you kind of an additional challenge of, they don't actually give you any blockers, but you do have bombers. So what you have to do is you kind of have to time it so you can blow up a lemming at this exact point while they're walking. So it can be kind of tricky, and it'll take a lot of experimentation. You know, definitely do not be, like, afraid to take multiple attempts to beat a level, because you have infinite lives. The game does not expect you to beat these levels on your first try. In that sense, I find this game very forgiving, because you have infinite lives and you can try levels over and over again. That's what makes the game so addictive, is you try to work through the game and try to figure out every level and try to just basically make it through. So with that, let's go ahead and start the next level. I think we're going to be introduced to the last task we haven't seen yet. Builders will help you here. That's right, we have builders now. You have to save 50%, so we have to save 25 of the 50 lemmings we have here. And let me just say, even though it's the last task introduced, this is the task you'll probably be using the most often in this playthrough. Basically, when you use a builder, you start building a little staircase for your lemming friends. Now, this guy won't be moving infinitely. Basically, if I remember correctly, 12 clicks is how many tiles he'll build. I'll go ahead and count with this next one just to be sure, because it could be a little bit more. But yeah, we're going to personally count this off, just so we know what exactly we're doing. I'm also going to do this just to kind of hold them up a little, just so no one falls in that little pit right there. And yeah, that's pretty much what you have to do. So let's go ahead and experiment again really quick, just to make sure we have this right. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. So yeah, you have basically, you have 12 little pixels you're building here. And when you get to the last 3, it'll start making that clicking sound. And that's something you can use to kind of tell that, okay, that builder's almost done. Let me very quickly get my cursor on him in case I need to, like, turn him into, like, a floater or something. If I need to, keep him building the staircase if he needs to. That's basically the main trick with builders, is just knowing how long you need to build your staircase and to make sure you're ready for the following obstacle once you are done with the building in question. So that's pretty much builders, and that's pretty much all the tasks that we have. So we've seen everything. We are ready to start plowing through this game now that we've kind of explored all of our options and whatnot. And I couldn't be more excited for that. Not as complicated as it looks. 100 lemmings, we have to save 95 of them. So let's see what we can do. Oh no! The exit's right here, but wait a minute. They're going this way. Whatever do we do? Whatever do we... Oh. Okay, that's it. Yeah, it's not as complicated as it looks. The game was not kidding when it said that. We got this. We're fine. But yeah, like, look at this, though. Like, they have a whole entire, like, another part of the level, like, over here. So it's like, it's meant to be intimidating with all this stuff that it has, but there's really just nothing here that you need to really even worry about. Which is, again, just kind of funny. And there we go. That's pretty much it. That level is completed. And we can move on to the next one. It really was not as complicated as it looks. Now, there is actually, funnily enough, a way to save every lemming in that level. But, we'll get to that stuff later. Because it's kind of an advanced technique that we don't really need to worry about right now. I think it'll be kind of fun to do the levels as they're kind of intended. And then when we get to the later levels where you actually need to use more advanced strats, it'll be more fun to kind of show them there. But yeah, that's pretty much that one. So let's go ahead and move on to the next one. What do we got? As long as you try your best. 100 lemmings, only have to save 10 of them. Or no, we have to save 90 of them. We can kill 10 of them. My mistake. Okay, so the lemmings are actually moving pretty quickly out of the gate on this one. But all you have to do is just make a blocker as soon as a guy lands. And there you go. See, not difficult in the slightest bit. That does look kind of weird, though, because, they're technically landing before the blocker, but I think that's, they're just right on the edge of the hitbox that it doesn't matter, so they can make it through. The hitboxes can be pretty finicky at times. I think I probably could have started the blocking a little earlier, but it works, so let's not question it. Oh no! He's gonna explode too! No, he'll make it in just fine. As long as they make it into the door before the countdown, they'll be saved, so you don't have to worry about that. But yeah, that level seemed to be no problem for you. Let's move on to the next one. Unfortunately, we lost one lemming, but, you know, sometimes that's the cost. 10. Smile if you love lemmings. Well, I am smiling like a jackass right now, so I must really, really love lemmings. So we have to save 10 lemmings this time. And, you know, the very obvious solution here is, like, we get 20 lemmings. We have 20 floaters. This is pretty much what we have to do. You can figure it out pretty quickly. Is we need to make all of these floaters, but we also need to block one of them down here before we do anything. And see, the cool thing is, you actually don't have to assign the floater job when they're walking. You can actually assign the job as they're falling. In fact, that actually can kind of save time too, because they'll bring their parasite like later instead of earlier, so they don't. It doesn't take this long for them to fall all the way down. I imagine this is what speedrunners would probably do. So obviously, like, put it down as close to the bottom as you can, just so they don't have to really do much waiting. But yeah, that's pretty much that level. And see, they gave us a lot of tools, so we could have figured out, like, something else to do. We could have, like, maybe dug a hole down here, and then just kind of given them a space place to walk. So, you know, there's a lot of different things you can do with lemmings, and ways you can solve a lot of these early game levels. When you get to the later difficulties, those will kind of center around one solution that you need to do to figure out everything. But early on, they give you a lot of different opportunities to kind of experiment and try different things, which I think is really cool. So we're probably going to do one more level before we end this video. Keep your hair on, Mr. Lemming. 60 lemmings, we have to save 83%. I do not feel like doing the math in my head on this one, but they give us a percentage, so we can kind of pay attention to that as we're working through this. So we have a new type of obstacle here. We have arrow blocks. Basically, with arrow blocks, you can dig through these blocks, but only in the direction they're pointing. So, as you can see, they're pointing this way, so we can't just, like, dig through this. Now, there are a couple of ways we can solve this. We can, you know, try to build a giant staircase up here, and then try to work our way down and over, because, again, I don't think we have to save too many. But, honestly, I think the best way to do this is to just make 2 climbers, and we're also going to make them floaters as well. This will give them the Athletes title, which basically means they have climber and floater assigned to them. Athletes, you'll probably be seeing a lot of these guys in later levels because you'll need them to kind of work ahead and kind of scout the area out before you figure out the solution. In fact, I want to say that's how, like, a lot of the tricky levels are like. But again, we'll get to that when we get to that. We'll go ahead and blow you up as well. I think we're still waiting for lemmings, so let's go ahead and increase that release rate. And there we go. Now notice, when we blew that guy up, they didn't create like a crater or anything. These are steel blocks. As I mentioned before, steel blocks, you can't actually mine through them, dig through them, bash through them, or even bomb through them. So keep that in mind. And there we go. Oh god. Oh, he's fine. That's right, he's an athlete. He's okay. He'll just be kind of straggling behind, though, so we'll have to wait for him to finish up. But yeah, I think that's going to do it for the first episode of Lemmings. I'm really looking forward to this. Again, I'm not sure how many, like, episodes this will take, or how many levels we'll get to cover in every episode, but you know, this is a game from my childhood. It's a game I really enjoyed. It's kind of given me like what I love about puzzle games to begin with. It's a lot of fun. I always have a blast playing this game, and I'm really happy to share it with you guys. Hope you guys enjoy, and I'll see you for the next part. Later, folks.